Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into something really cool, how a big idea from one of the world's best restaurants can actually transform the way we think about professional coaching. Let's get right into it. So it really all boils down to this question. I know, it sounds a little strange, right? Fine dining and coaching? But trust me, the answer is this powerful concept called unreasonable hospitality. And honestly, it's a total game changer for anyone who leads or supports other people. Okay, first things first. To really get this, we need to understand a super important distinction that's right at the core of this whole philosophy. It's the difference between just providing a service and offering genuine hospitality. Look at this. It's so simple, but it's incredibly profound. See, service is transactional. It's about doing the job, checking the boxes, meeting expectations. But hospitality, well, that's relational. It's all about making an emotional connection, making someone feel truly seen and valued. And in coaching, that's everything. It's the difference between just having a session and creating a space where real transformation can actually happen. All right, so how do we actually do this? How do we take this idea from a restaurant and bring it into a coaching session? Let's break down how to translate these principles into real actions. And what's really neat is you'll see how perfectly they line up with best practices we already know, like the competencies from the International Coaching Federation. So the first big idea is this. The real value isn't just in the agenda or the framework of the session. The value is in the human connection. It's about being so present, so empathetic, that your client feels just profoundly understood. And that feeling, that is the absolute foundation for building trust and safety, which, as you know, is a core coaching competency.
Okay, this is where it gets really fun. There's this great story about a guest who is feeling homesick and just casually mentioned that they missed churros. So what did the kitchen do? They made a special off-menu batch just for them. As coaches, we can help our clients find their own churro moments, those little personal touches that take a totally normal interaction with their team or their customers and make it unforgettable.
And look, this is not about spending a ton of money or making huge, grand gestures. It's about a mindset. It's a leadership habit. It's just consistently asking yourself, what else? What else would make this person feel deeply cared for? Imagine helping a client adopt just that one question. It could completely change every relationship in their professional life.
So what does this actually look like in a coaching session? Well, let's think about the coach not just as a guide, but as a host. Someone who is intentionally creating and holding a space where amazing things can happen. And being a host really comes down to three key things. First, you co-create the relationship. You're designing the alliance with your client, for your client. Second, you listen for the clues. And this is more than just hearing words. It's noticing the energy, the pauses, the unspoken needs. And finally, you adopt the stance of a host, always looking for ways to make your client feel supported and cared for. This right here is such a great example of a powerful coaching question. You're not telling your client what to do, you're asking them this. It doesn't lead them to an answer, it invites them to partner with you to build their very own framework for creating these exceptional experiences. It's fantastic. Now just think about this question for a second. If this was your only goal when listening, what would change? You'd stop listening just for facts and figures, and you'd start listening for feelings, for needs, for unspoken longings. This is what deep, active listening is all about, and it can unlock a whole new level of awareness for your client. Now, of course, this can't just be about one person doing all the work. The real magic happens when this whole philosophy becomes part of the culture. So, the question is, how can a coach help a leader empower their entire team to become hosts? Here's a super simple, practical tool for that. The 95-5 rule. The idea is you dedicate 95% of your resources, your time, your budget, to running a great, consistent operation. But you save that last 5% for those unexpected, spontaneous moments of delight. What this does is it gives your team both permission and a clear boundary to be generous on their own. And that brings us to the key question for any leader, right? It's not about writing more rules in a manual. It's about designing systems and norms that empower your people to act on their good instincts. It's really about trusting your team to be thoughtful and creative.
But okay, we have to be realistic. To make this work over the long haul, it absolutely has to be done in a way that is sustainable, ethical, and, fair for everybody involved.
Yeah, for this to really stick, one-off grand gestures just aren't enough. You have to build it into the culture. That means getting specific about behaviors, not just talking about big ideas. It means starting small with experiments, respecting people's boundaries so they don't burn out, and making sure that going above and beyond doesn't accidentally create unfairness in the system.
This is such a critical question for any coach or leader, because generosity without boundaries, that just leads straight to burnout. Real, sustainable hospitality means you have to manage your own energy and resources so you can keep showing up for people over the long term. It's basically self-care as a professional strategy.
And that brings us to our final thought, and maybe the most important one. At the end of the day, unreasonable hospitality is about your legacy. It's not just about what you got done, it's about how you made people feel along the way. When people look back on their time working with you, as a coach, as a leader, as a teammate, what words do you hope they use? Now that is a question we're sitting with.